Hello everybody, this is my first live stream on this channel, so lots of chaos to be expected, but if everything goes smoothly, what you might end up seeing is me trying some sketches. So I am about to do some illustrations for a Storyteller magazine. It's a fan-made storyteller magazine. The user group you can find on Facebook by searching for Storyteller, and we are making some stories for the Christmas edition, and I've been given the task of doing some illustrations for one of the books by the writer Danny. And I don't want to go too much into the details of the story of the book because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but these illustrations will kind of help you gauge what is going on in the story, I hope. So with my first illustration, I'm trying to explore what the world is going to look like from what Danny imagined. So I gathered a few references on Pinterest, or something to do with St. Nicholas and snowy snowscapes and that sort of thing. But even before I get into my references, what I'd like to do is just do some thumbnail sketches and see what sort of feels good for me. So I've got like 9 thumbnails, as you can see in here, a template that I got online for free. And what I will do is I'm going to use 3 per a scene. So I'm going to try, I mean ideally you'd want at least 6 per scene, but I will see how it goes with 3 per scene. So that hopefully by the end of the stream, what we will end up having is a selection of 3 variations of what would then end up being illustrations of 3 different scenes, and or 3 different illustrations. And I'll try and do as many as I can this way, and then pick the best few and send it off to the Storyteller guys and let them publish it. That is the plan, and this is day 1. So yeah, I do expect a lot of noise because it's Sunday afternoon. My wife and my child are gonna need me once in a while. So, but without further ado, let's start sketching. So I'm going to be very basic. I'm not going to use any of my custom brushes or the brushes that I've got from the internet. I want to keep it really simple. I'm in Procreate, as you can see, and I'm getting my Nick Roll brush, which has got a bit of grungy texture to it, which I like. And I'm going to not change any settings there, and then simply start sketching. And the other thing I could do is go into my canvas here and say drawing guide, so that gives me a grid. But even better, I'm going to use perspective and sort of lay down the perspective I want for my first sketch. So most of it is going to be very loose, but I want to at least sort of know what it is, the sort of camera angle that I want for a particular scene. So in this one, we are looking to do a large snowscape, or it could be large, it could be not. That's kind of what I'm trying to explore. So I have my main character, St. Nicholas, is walking towards a hollow tree, and it's in a snowstorm. So I want this one to show enough of a landscape so that it is clear to the viewer that it is a snowstorm, and then they have a tiny sort of cloaked character walking towards a distant tree, which is just a tree at this point. Whether hollow or not, it won't be easy to tell. So let's say that's what we're going for. So I'm going to set up this 2-point perspective like this, and I'm going to start using this as a guide, and also maybe have a 3rd point like right there, so I can decide where the horizon is, maybe about there, and that's kind of where I want my tree, maybe. Let's see. And then I'm just going to go and freely sketch without worrying too much about the details, making sure I'm in a layer of its own with no sketch of details in there. And I'm just what I could also do is in here I'm going to say oh sorry, this one. Let's just say fly mask here. Save over here. Yeah, just don't wanna actually delete that. So I don't need that. I just want it nice and white. And come across here, and then just really sketch away. So I would say there's a slope coming here and then something over there, maybe like that. And at this point, I'm like really loose. I really don't know what I want. So I'm just thinking of some landscapes, some meadows, and how what any random meadow that I recently saw was looking like. I'm thinking of some ups, some slopes going up and down, and this terrain here, and then this is kind of where roughly I want the tree to be. Maybe it shouldn't be that big because it's in the distance. So yeah, and then I'm starting with absolute black, but then I'm going a little bit of grey for the sort of the mid ground, and really very quickly, without much thought given, I'm just dabbing some paint on the canvas. So I'm thinking like the way I would do with brush and the canvas, just dab a bit of paint and sort of try and find where the light is coming from and where it should come from, and how I'm going to compose this. So if I could go a bit lighter and say maybe the light's coming from here, so these sort of areas are going to be where you can see most of the light. So I'm going to just sort of draw those broad strokes, and I'm not really changing my brush anytime soon, because this is very very rough. I'm going back to black and then say, okay, this part here, let's just say doesn't get a lot of light. And the point of doing it this way, having it in this thumbnail sort of ways, that I don't have a lot of room to work with, and that is kind of the point, because we're not worried about any details, and when you don't have details to look for, then you really don't need a big canvas. You're just trying to make a point, like what's kind of the composition of the whole sketch going to look like. And then what I really love doing in Procreate is use the smudge tool, because it really helps me sort of blend some of these strokes. So it's like literally dabbing a brush on a canvas and then spreading it with a clean brush. That's the sort of technique I tend to use. And every artist will have different ways of doing this, but the point of it is the same. You are trying to explore some the major composition of your overall sketch. It's not about just going straight into your characters and your what do you call the main objects of your scene, but the actual landscape. How am I going to, like, so I should have like a path. I'm thinking many different things at this point, like where is St. Nicholas coming from, where is he going? He's obviously walking towards this tree in a snowstorm, and he's walked for quite a bit, right? So there's got to be some kind of interest in the snowscape itself, and that's sort of so maybe there's a hill right at the back, and it's a rocky hill. There's some rocks in the foreground, very large ones. So there's a cliff, maybe, and he's walking towards something more, say, suburban. So just blending on my grays, you can slowly start to see that there's a path that here on this side, and assuming, like, if you heard me before, I said the light is coming more from the right, so it might be worth just putting a bit more darker lights. Yes. So that what I'm trying to suggest there is that there is a like a plateau. So and this is a slope that that is going against the sun. So that's got to be a bit dark. And now maybe go very light and say with this tiny brush, say there's some highlight there, something going on there, and maybe something going on here, right? And so this is sort of the foreground, the covers, sort of reveals the landscape. So what I want to imagine is I'm standing somewhere on top of this cliff and I'm looking at what's happening down in the middle there. So I should find somebody walking towards that. So that's kind of how I think of when I'm doing these illustrations. Where am I looking from? Because you want the viewer to see something, and the viewers you want them to be immersed in your illustration, right? That is how you sell an illustration. So it has to feel like you stood on the top of a hill somewhere in the Shropshire Hills and you took a photo, right? How would that look like? If you look at one of your photos that you took of a landscape, how does it come across? So I always place myself in illustration. Obviously you won't see me, but I am looking at something, and if what I'm looking makes sense, like it's being shot from a camera, chances are it will make sense to the viewers. And so okay, let's sort of take a break and look at it. What's happening here? So there seems to be like a really big sort of plateau on the right, and then something similar but in a different shape to the left. And then there's this distant mountain at the back on the left, and then it seems like there's one opposite down the right as well that's going up. And then in the middle is where we have an opportunity to show something. So maybe on that path we could have a figure. Again, I'm going to go full black and say, okay, there's someone like that walking. It's a cloaked figure. So let's just say that's our person. I think it's too big. He's too big even for that. So I'm going to go back. It has to really be a simple stroke. That's about it. That's how big it's going to look. And then he's walking towards this tree here. And we don't know at this point how big this tree is supposed to be, but I imagine it will have to be very tiny from this distance. And that's kind of the disadvantage with this composition. But it's just the point of this is to show the whole landscape and to lead to the next illustration to add interest. So I'm starting with this because I do think that this will work, but I don't know yet that it will work. So bear that in mind. So again, I'm going to give this one a little bit of randomness, break it up a bit, maybe go this way, take a little mid-gray, and say, so there's this shadow coming up, and what else can we do? So this one, doesn't have a lot going on, so ignore. So I'm just looking for readability. What does it read? Does it look like a landscape that we could refine and make it work? If it doesn't look good, like at this stage, it won't be selected for the next stage. That's kind of the idea. And ultimately, if you can't make your a convincing image with the black and whites, then no matter what you try, the colored version is not going to look any better. And so this is for me the most crucial phase of illustration, because I know once I have all of this, the rest of the stuff the details. They do run pretty quickly, believe it or not. But this one, sometimes it takes painstakingly long for me. I know I've seen artists who like so good they just breeze through the thumbnails in like an hour. And they've got like a selection of 9 beautiful looking thumbnails to choose from. And yeah, don't know how they do it. That's what I'm hoping to find out by exploring um, the techniques and spend some time each weekend on these illustrations. It's been very long time for me since I've done a proper illustration, and I really want to break that, come out of it, and be more of a regular in terms of illustrations and animations. And yeah, I will try my best to record these for the channel so you guys can follow, learn with me, and if not learn, and then at some point you'll be convinced that I'm a good teacher and maybe learn from me. But for now, as long as you're like learning with me, it'll give me great pleasure. Okay, so again, I don't like to smudge anything too much. The initial smudging you saw is only to just spread it all out a bit. But then I like to just only use the brush and the color. One thing that I could have done is have like a key with the gradient colors. I might do that before I move on to the next illustration. So let's see. Again, you see that dark bit again. I did that because I want to suggest that there is that part is not getting much light, because it just gives that separation of darks and lights. And when I do actually the final illustration, I never use a complete blank or complete white in them. It just doesn't look right, and it's not, unless it's a comic book that I'm making it, which is purposefully ink and basically blanks, and that's a great way type of art. But that's not kind of what we're going for here. So yeah, I'm looking at it. I need some sort of say a brush like this, a spectra, and then do some masses up in the. No, that's too dark. I need to drop the opacity further. Say, just say, I'll do that. We'll say, and those are going to be my clouds. I can play a little bit more with clouds because yeah, I really don't know how they're going to look like. So for now, I just want something there. Just take the eraser. Don't need any of these outside. As loose as I can be, really. So some kind of stormy clouds is all I need to suggest here, because it is a storm. We're in the middle of a storm, so it has to be kind of dark, but there should be a light source. So behind the tree, it looks pretty good actually. If let's just say that for this illustration, the light actually comes there at that point. And now, how is that going to change the illustration? We're going to have a lot of light streaks. Going back to my micro, so coming this way. Right, so don't worry about the guy being gone. We can bring him back. So there's going to be of that, not that light, and we will add some highlights to separate some of the landscape pieces. Okay, this looks pretty good. And then this part is going to be in the dark mostly, except for maybe this area here, because of the way it's raised there, and there's not a lot of light. It's going to hit this area, so I'm going to just go really dark there and bring it back a little bit of highlight later. And similar things is going to happen on this side, so that this is going to be dark, right? there's got to be some light coming through on here, on these bits here, and then it sort of fades away there, and this part again will be shadowed because of the tree. Maybe you could have like a large shadow of the tree. So say, okay, let's just say that this is a little covered, but then it has to be something that's happening here. That just do that like that, and then go with the black, and then sort of separate some bits. So maybe there's like a big rock, and then it sort of flattens, and then there's like another cut there, and then I don't know, there's probably something here that's sort of blocking, and then you can go a little bit darker and say that doesn't get that much light now. This is also going to be like a bit grey, and then go with the highlight, almost white, and say just over here. I don't really not too keen on what's happening on the right, to be, if I'm 100% honest, but overall I think you can tell, well, at least I can tell that there's something very landscapey going on, like very it looks like a terrain that we could use to then cover in snow, and there's a tiny guy here who's walking towards a tree. Let's give him a little shadow like that. And that's all. I mean, I don't want to spend too much on details. I mean, if it looks like, okay, there's something happening, I'm going to move on to my next thumbnail. It's not the best thumbnail by any means, no doubt about that, but for my purpose, I'm like, okay, I've seen enough from this composition. This is not going to be a winner. I don't want to spend too much more time on this. Right, another thing that I could do with the second one, let's just go change our drawing guide. So I'm going to move these here. So I'm going on a really wide and also low horizon this time, and this one can go that way, but there. Let's see, so what's happening here? So we could, and now actually let's just go back. So let's do just a 2-point perspective. We don't need the third one. Right. So what's happening here? So we got these guides suggesting like this will go this way, right? So maybe we could have the tree somewhere here, tiny, and the figure, the cloaked figure, could be like a really, really big, but we're not revealing him entirely. Maybe we'll just reveal part of him, and then at the distance there is a tree, and then what's happening between him and the tree is a lot of storm and a bit of landscape that we can see. Let's try that composition. Again, with the Necro, what I'm going to do is, oops. So I say, somewhere this way. So maybe we're going to he's got to have, I don't know, maybe he's got like a lamp that he's holding in one hand, right? And it's really freezing. So, and he's looking in the distance. So somewhere here is where the tree is. Let's make it a little stylized, like it's sort of at an angle. The tree is massive, but it is at a distance, so it will look like it's really small, but yeah, it's quite far away. And remember, this guy is really close to the camera, so I'm right behind him in this one. So I'm right behind him, and this is what I see. So I see him here, and then there's this. So the tree not necessarily is on a flat surface, so there's going to be something going on here, left and right. And I'm going to go with the mid grey now, so for all the mid tones level, and then let's just plot something. Say, just sort of break the symmetry a bit, the landscape. Also just go a little dabs there to just make it feel like you can still read some snow, although it's like all black and white and it doesn't matter. Maybe actually go with a tinier brush. Let's just say there's some kind of a heavy snow drop feeling. Everywhere on him, on the landscape there, and then I can smudge them so that it's like motion blurred a bit. And I'll go even lighter, slightly more lighter, and sort of here. So here there's like a hill somewhere in the background, and just going very light because I want to make it feel like there's depth to them. So there's something going on. At this angle, you won't see much of the sky. Just a little bit, maybe. It's just in there. So I'm going to focus more on the landscape. And this composition, right off the bat, I think what I feel like it tells more of a story. Like a guy looking at a distance or a tree, that's where the next scene is going to be. So it's kind of leading, I think, the viewer to naturally to what's going to happen next. Whereas the one on the left, I mean, initially I thought it's a good idea because it will sort of give an immersive feel to the audience. Say, okay, what the world is going to look like. So, but I'm not so sure now. I think you can do that with it. I mean, we could do a better version of the same in the next one and see how it goes. Or I do have another idea. Let's try that first. That's okay. What can we do? I'm just going to look at from a distance to get an idea. Is there anything that should happen? I mean, from this angle. Okay, let's take flag. Let's just say that this area is a bit more rocky. So just tiny, small brushes. And say, and this one here goes something like that. Yeah, okay, that's something. So it's just not one single bit of thing, but there's a lot going on. Say maybe that's like a rock, and this is so rock formations slightly above the ground, not too, and the same goes on in the distance there. So I really like how when you go to places like Shropshire Hills or any of these terrains, see these big rock formations, and so any sort of like barren land like this, it's almost impossible not to have some kind of terrain. Now, these are all covered in snow as per the story, but I'm not that bothered about showing you the snow at this point. I want to get the terrain convincing enough, and the snow is just a cover. I can like artistically decide, strategically place it where I feel it makes the most sense without taking too much of the other stuff away. So that looks like there is snow, but now no, I'll keep the same brush. I like it. Let's just go more of the same, maybe go for the white. Same. Yeah, this is, I mean, obviously I have very little time to do all this stuff, but if I were doing more professionally for paid work, I would probably focus a little bit more on the brushes I'm using and have different brushes for different purposes. But I do think that you can achieve fairly decent results with just one brush for thumbnailing, and unless absolutely required for a particular thumbnail where I'm not getting anywhere, I tend not to change the brush, like one nick roll for literally everything unless I really have to. And you can see, I'm sure you agree that there was no need for me to change anything. You just have to continue and refine the sketch itself. And no, that doesn't look good. And then I can smudge a little bit and see. So if I want any gradients anywhere, I just bring the smudge tool and smudge it out. And you can also, what I like to do is, because it's like a cloaked figure, maybe just suggest give it a little bit of detail, not too much, to say that okay, there's some folds coming up and down, like so. That's a little cloth folds, at the back, and don't want it to be too white though, because there shouldn't. So I want him to be kind of in the dark, like against the sun, where you see. So there's a bit of an element of suspense, and this is the main character, and I don't want to like reveal him in the first illustration itself. So again, going black. I always go black because I'm only looking for a good silhouette here, and I don't need to have too many shades of grey. And where I have grey is like lighter colors, is usually to show some depth or separate the foreground, midground, and the background. And these also, for example, really we could get away with like showing some black, because this is very much in the foreground, and whereas that is sort of a midground. Right? And we have something that's gradually going into the background, and then finally there's like really background that goes this further away behind the tree, and sort of blocking the sun and giving us some interesting lighting. That's what these are doing. So, And that's another thing you want to think. Sure, the sun is setting or rising somewhere in the clouds, but it is a light source and it is giving enough light. But how do you want the light to affect your subjects? Think you can think of all the trees in the background. Are there more trees? Is this like an isolated tree? And that's the kind of special. I guess the point of this environment is like we don't want to show a lot of trees. It's like he's walked a lot and he found this one tree, and it's got like a hollow thing going on, which we can suggest. Say with the mid grey, maybe up there, and that is going to come in handy. I mean, if you're stuck in a snowstorm and you see a hollow tree, I think we all know what we're going to do, right? Okay. Okay, so just to give some details, just to break it, I'm going to use a lighter. There might be some light falling on one of the roots there, and then there, so we can really use a lighter color to show that. And there's also this thing at the back that's not very clear, so I'm going to maybe erase that bit. Say, bring some of the grey from the background in there like that with the smudge tool. So I hope you guys can hear me again. I really don't know, I'm just talking away, and this has not been advertised. I'm pretty sure most of you won't turn up, so this is like I'm talking to myself and to people who will watch this stream after it's been recorded. So yeah, so it is really weird. I'm sure I'll get used to it. Whenever you get to see the stream, it would really help if you just drop a comment and just let me know what you thought about the whole process. I am clearly out of touch, out of practice. I haven't done illustrations in a very long time. This is the first step I'm taking to change that, and hopefully there'll be like about 15-20 illustrations by the end of the year, and then I'm more into the swing of things. Because you have seen mostly on my channel now, I do like filmmaking stuff, color grading, Unreal, so a lot of 3D stuff, but never really drew anything in a long time. But I love drawing, and whenever I do, I always have fun doing it, and I do intend to get good at it. And as I do that, maybe you can do so yourself as well, like following along. That's the kind of the purpose of this stream. I'll be doing a lot of different like character designing, the other stuff. The character stuff I still think I have it in me. Although it's been a while, I do like designing characters, so I should have it in me. Environments, once I get a little gap where I haven't done much in a while, they just suffer. I get really slow, and yeah, you can tell that I haven't done this in a while. But you can also tell that I've done this, just not in a while. Yeah, but do let me know in your comments. If you're an artist yourself, I'm sure you have some tips that you'd like to give me. So don't hesitate to do so. We're all learning, and the only way I can do it is with a bit of help. So yeah, that's looking like I wanted to look, which is the first thing. Yeah, so let's go back a bit. So that's a nice little rock there, rock bed. It kind of gives me like the feeling of the Lion King forest, except it's like wanting to be like a snowscape. So remember, there's going to have to be a lot of snow. Maybe go take this Tamara brush and see if I can spread tapping it like I would do with a brush and oils, if I were doing it that way. And there's gonna be some snow around here. No, let's not do too much of that. Let's go back again. So a hooded figure looking at a tree at a distance. It's a massive tree. I don't know if I want it to look that massive in the end. But it is quite far away. So I mean, what I mean is not like too far away. It is far away. It's not too far away. So it's supposed to look a bit big. So by the time this guy gets to, then it gets there, it'll be about that big. So he's not coming across. See, I'm looking at this line here. It's not exactly, it's got to be further away. So let me quickly select the tree. So I'm thinking in technical terms. Like, actually, I like doing using the distort a bit and say, okay, is that a better size? I think so. And then it's about there. Let's say. No, I'm doing this the opposite. What I meant was he has to be there. This part is to. That's what I meant to do. Yeah. You see, goes there, and also now what I can do is while I fix that, just cut down the size on him because this is better. I think this is better. Yeah, that's more good. Okay. Feels like it's a bit more wrapped in his clothes. And then let's see if I can blend this with my smudge. Most of this. And we'll have a bit gray. I think this will be better. Let's put that on some kind of pedestal. Okay, in that. Okay, I think we can make that work. Because yeah, he's very close to the camera, probably on a higher plane. So he'll have to walk down on that path, and by the time he gets here, it's probably going to be this big, and then by the time he gets here, it's going to sort of be that much. Yeah, hope you agree. But yeah, I think that's a thumbnail that is looking very interesting. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to move to my third thumbnail. And here, let's do something crazy. So this time, let's say I'm behind this tree, and I'm looking at a hooded figure walking towards me. Alright? Let's see how that works out. So, if you're behind the tree is absolutely close to you, so you can only show as much as the trunk part, the hollow bit. Right? So imagine, like, the tree that is literally next to me, I should be able to go in that hollow myself, right? So I can only show a part. So let's start with my nick roll, making sure I have nick roll, and the horizon would be okay. So let's think. Yeah, I think what we have is good in terms of the horizon line, but we're gonna have to make the terrain really interesting for this to work. Okay, let's forget about the horizon or the perspective for now. Just keep drawing. So what I'm going to start here on the right. It could be left. We could choose left or right for this. Then say I'm going like that. So I'm standing, say, on one of the roots, so I won't be able to see anything below my waist, right? So what I'm looking at is the trunk of the tree, and maybe, just to make it interesting, one of the low hanging branches is sort of coming out this way and going back up there. Right? There's no way I'm gonna get any more visibility of this tree. But what is on the other side of this tree, if I were to show you, draw, is this hollow, which is kind of that big, right? Obviously we're not going to show that, it's on the other side. So just to give you an idea, so I am also, let's just draw me, let's just say I'm here, right? That's me, just my feet are missing, but let's say that's me next to the tree, and that's one of the low hanging branches, right? I'll make it more interesting in a bit. So if you look at this line, if you assume, actually let's get the drawing guide up and then move these here so we can see the lines better. So it's still 2-point perspective, it's the same kind of perspective. You see there, you see a line going on top of my head, and then we should see the hooded figure of St. Nicholas at about there. Right, so he's coming like that, he's a bit triangular because he's got a lot going on. Right, and he's walking, what's this? He's got like a stick thing, isn't he? So maybe the stick, it's too broad. Okay, the stick goes like that. Could make him a bit narrower, so just to make him feel a bit thin and tall. Right, so he's about there. Now I don't need this reference here, so I'm gonna, oops, so I'm gonna really delete this part. Okay, so that's kind of what I do when I'm in doubt, you know. Just draw and figure stuff out. And if it doesn't work, you just scrap and go again. Okay, so using the eraser, I'm just going to make this branch a little bit more interesting. Okay. Yeah, again, I don't want it to go all the way down to like I don't want the roots to begin, because if we are still looking from a height, and the ground is somewhere, this is probably where that if I were to go along, then the tree would end up somewhere here. That's kind of where the roots are, and I'm like standing from one of the roots like that. Say like that, maybe. That would probably make more sense. And if that is the case, then it might also be worth moving St. Nicholas a bit more along that part there, and then yeah, something like that. And now I can take a mid-gray and start to plot some terrain. There's something happening there. You know, usually I just go like one like that and then one like that, but obviously behind him. So here I'm going to go. There's something going on there. Again, no need for this. Okay, so there is opportunity because of making the light sort of hit the rim, say, of his hood. Sort of suggest there's something like going on here, like that. So we also said he might be having like a lantern. So, so let's just make sure we said it left hand this time. And this, so it looks pleased they found something. A tree somewhere you can take refuge finally. So yeah, just with those little dabs, you know, you can see that okay, that looks more humanly, and really we don't need anything else just at this stage. Okay, now I'm gonna get this other brush. So yeah, I know I said I'll try and keep it to one brush, but this brush is really good for the background, the depth. If you see, it kind of works like a very like you mix paint thinner, like turpentine or something, and it sort of really has that feel to it where it's just spreading away and blending into the paper, and that's really good, especially to show something like distant clouds or mountains. And if you just layer it, you can get a bit more detail. Very, very handy. It says to have like a foggy feel here. Okay, but definitely I want more happening, say, this side. Going back to the definition. So I need definition. I want like a hard brush. Okay, something like that. And then it just sort of fades away into the fog, and then here we have another light sort of path. No lighter than that. Okay, yeah, that's good. So this is the path is leading to that tree, and then something here must you know, we said there's something goes like a terrainy rocky thing here. It sort of cuts the symmetry a bit. We don't want to see all of St. Nicholas. How about just blocking a bit, you know, here, maybe here, and then get the medium brush. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm kind of talking to myself, and sometimes, you know, it may be hard to make out what I'm saying. So yeah, do forgive me. I will have to learn how to talk while I'm drawing, because in my normal mode when I'm drawing is absolute silence. I don't say a word for hours. So this is kind of new to me, but it's good. But I want you to know what I'm thinking, so I'm kind of like thinking out loud. if it helps. Which is very unusual, I've never done it before. Okay. Right. I really need to make better separation of these different rocks. They're good, but they're not the way I want it to be. Like for instance here, this is good, definitely, but I really don't know what I want to do with the one behind. Maybe just have like a vertical thing, slightly less dark, yeah, like that, and then like a long sort of rock, and then it goes into out of this page like that, and then we can define like the one on the right is so good, like it gives us opportunity to do so much, and I'll show you in a bit. So that spirally thing that I'm doing will give me opportunity to put like a very subtle detail, like say that could be a path there, that's another path there, so I'm just flattening that to say, so you have to look at that and say, okay, that is a walkable surface, I can walk on that. That's what I'm trying to see. So if I were to walk on one of these rocks, I'd probably try to find some of these flat spots. Okay, and that's what I'm doing here, literally. And I'm thinking about how the light would hit, because it's flat, it would hit head on and full on. There's not much gradients. And then, with what happens underneath, they kind of don't receive much light, so I'm going to go full on black and say, okay, no half measures. If you're not getting, I'm not thinking about bounce lights or anything like that at this point, which will make into the final illustration, yes, but I'm not too bothered right now. So I'm going to take one of these and develop it, and then that's when you see me putting all the thinking about those bounce lights and thinking about all the 50 shades of grey. And then once I'm happy with the shades of grey, that's when I know I'll be happy with the final results, and then go into the painting phase and put some colour. I know there's a temptation to just start colouring, and a lot of artists do that, and it's not like you can't. You can absolutely do that and still make a perfect painting. But this is how we are taught at art schools. I mean, I didn't go to an art school, but I did art courses where we're shown the importance of a thumbnail sketch, and really once you get into it, you won't change your ways. It is just the absolute best way to do environments, or any sketch really. Even when I think about portraits, I do start with a black and white grey sort of sketch anyway, because it takes it's a quicker thing to produce, and B, if you're doing something wrong, right away. You don't have to spend hours of painting only to realize it doesn't work. Like you can tell that doesn't work, the first one, right away. But the second and third are looking promising. Is we're going to have to make a decision which one to pick. I kind of like the suspense aspect of the second one, although even in the third you can't really see the face of the person, but the roads, once these are painted and you have all those details, I think from a distance anybody who knows St. Nicholas would know that it's St. Nicholas. But I don't know if I want to reveal that in the first illustration itself. But I'm thinking of Mad-Eye Moody's entrance in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Like there's a foot. All you see is this foot and the stick, and this mysterious person is just a silhouette, and then the drama to that is so good. Like it builds the anticipation, And I don't want to think of illustrations for even children's book to have to be any different. I think the principles must still apply, unless it's like very childish children's book of like the underage, the 7, 8 year olds. Yes, they have very distinct styles, and that's another thing that one day I might do a stream for because they're good as well. But this is kind of like more for adults, really. Plus, nice to have if children's read, sort of thing. But at least from what I gather, most of storyteller readers are adults who kind of read to their children rather than children reading themselves. So, I tend to try and think all of these things when I make illustrations, because it's all about pleasing the audience, isn't it? As much as having fun yourself as an artist. So I try to, as much as possible, know my audience. And see what it does is it kind of makes it look like a rocky surface with all these tiny lines cutting, because the light, when it hits a rock, there's so many facets to it. You are just given all these reflections. And okay, I do like the idea of having this big boulder at the back and some very like distant sort of mountains. But obviously the keys for these is to make it a snowscape in the end. In the end, it's a snowstorm that we want to show. So there are some distance mounted there, and then that area there in the left top corner, that's probably where we have some clouds. Also, maybe stormy. I don't know. So just want to fill it up and not have any light. Let's say that's that. Let's do like some patches here. So okay, that might be a little bit slow. Low opacity maybe. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, that's good. And yeah, that kind of gives a feel of a snowscape. Right, going back again. Okay, yeah. Could you let me know what your pick is if you were to do an illustration? Yeah, what would you pick? I think a combination of 2 and 3 for me. Definitely the hooded figure looking at the tree, I think I like, but maybe work on the terrain like I did on the third. So really, we will need to spend more time on this. So I'm going to continue and do a fourth sketch for the same illustration. And if I feel like I got what I need is bang on, then I'll just go and utilize the rest of the frames for a second illustration, where the second illustration I'm thinking will be where Saint Nick is sitting in that hollow. So there's plenty of things we can do with that, and I'll talk through while I sketch this. So I'm going to try this again. Right? I'm going to try 2 and then make it look more pleasing the way it is like number 3. And let's do that. Once again, the good thing to do is to bring my drawing guides where they need to be, somewhere here. 2-point perspective, right? Or should we also think about a 3-point? I'm thinking, what would happen if we do a 3-point perspective? Where would you place that? Just not going to make a huge difference. Maybe just put it right on the same line just to get those guys. I could go a little bit this way. Yeah, maybe there. That's probably where you want the door to be. That you want, and then this is like yeah, this line here. Oh, sorry, I forgot you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, let's work with this. Let's work with this. What I could also do is go to my layer and say drawing assist, and I'm going to draw some straight lines just with my sketching HB pencil. Say here, so that is where my tree is going, right? And that's probably the height size of the entrance, which is going to be a little bit smaller. The hollow is going to be maybe somewhere. It'll cut St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas is a tall guy, and the hollow in the tree should be, well, slightly more than half of his size. So the hollow is about that much, and then St. Nicholas is probably that tall, right? So if I just draw a line there, see, that's where a head's going to be. And this is something I could have done with the number 2, and it would have looked even more convincing. And the tree is quite big, so I don't mind the tree to sort of end there and have, like, you know, these lines there. So that's kind of where the tree is. And then this is where Nick is, right? And if this is the ground, there'll be another line that should come here. Say that. So say that's the line here. Now these lines you see, this is St. Nick. Say I'm going to draw a vertical line now. You get a vertical line. So this will really help me get the perspective right if I haven't already in previous ones. Okay. I've just made a few guidelines there. How I want these mountains to look like, and what lines do I want these to conform to. You see these here. Okay. So this is where St. Nick is going to be. Somewhere here. Alright, okay, I think that's good. So let's get our painting brush and curl. Go pretty much black. A little, like, just go black. 80% opacity. That's good. Alright, let's see what we can do. So that's St. Nick. Oh, we don't need this drawing assist anymore. Turn that off. Okay, so it's going to be this tall. So that's the hood, that's the shoulder. I'm just going to say this is the cloak. Right. So this is probably going to end somewhere here outside the canvas, like that. So the hooded figure, and so if we were to actually, if we want to see the entire hood, all we have to do is move him further in, but also using distort, make him conform to those perspective lines like that. Yeah, that's, I think, okay. So let's say that's what we want. I'm going to also do that just so it looks taller. should we bring him in the corner, make him larger, go in the middle? That is the question. Okay, let's try and like, imagine like we want to divide this. Let me get this drawing not drawing assist. Change my drawing assist to 2D grid. So thinking of like rule of thirds. Okay, let's do some basics. So I want this subject to be one of the points. So that's my third there, and you see there, that's where the tree is. I like it, but with 3, I think he's gonna have to be somewhere here in relation with the tree. And yeah, that's right. But I think I'm gonna clear this canvas. So now that I can't clear the canvas, I'll use all the other sketches. Get this, get rid of him again. Alright, I'm gonna go back again. So having looked at that, I think I want to go back to where number 2 was in terms of I want only a part of him to be visible. Again, going back to that Mad-Eye Moody theory, there's just enough to say that there's a cloaked figure and it could be St. Nicholas, but I don't want the viewers to be absolutely sure that it is him. So going back to my perspective lines, also turn back my drawing assist, then I take my sketch pencil, HB pencil, and from here I'm going to plot a line again. So okay, so these are some 3 lines. So this is probably the road, the path that he's taking. This is where the tree is. Okay, and then we have some mountains there, and then over there. Okay, that is much more clear. And so, how tall is he? He's this tall, which means I've got to be able to finish him there, or is he taller than that? I don't know. Maybe we could get away with that line there. Yeah. So if he was this tall here, by the time he gets there, that's where his head's going to be, and I'm happy with that. So let's erase everything we don't need. Oh, we do need that. Sorry. I erased the main line. Okay. Oh no, I didn't. Oh, crazy. Sorry. Let's remove drawing assist and erase any lines we don't need. So this is sort of the path, and that's how big it's going to be. Now I'm looking in a good shape to sort of. So I'm going to draw him like he's going to say it like that. And that's the figure of St. Nicholas. And we only have a part of him visible, which I'm going to show in a minute when I erase it, the unnecessary bits. So maybe the stick is going to be like that. Okay. Let the shoulder come through here. Okay, that's the cloak figure. Okay, that's a cloak figure. There's no need to do any more detail. But now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to better ways to just say select, say this whole thing. Oh, actually, these are all in the same layer, so I can't mask it. Sorry. Ignore me. Unless actually, if I select inverse, say mask, and say invert. No, no, that's all right. Sorry, ignore me. Yeah. Again, there's no need to get too clever at this point, you know, just erase it. So there, what you see is, is a hooded figure looking straight at something that he found interesting, and it sort of spans the entire page. And maybe bring him down a bit if you want. You don't want him to be entire page. Just under like that. Yeah, that is the perspective I want. Roughly. Okay. Yeah, this looks good. Erase the lines. Start working on the tree. Okay. Yeah, how does that look from the back? Yeah, it takes most of the page, which is just enough. It's tall. And now here there is tree. It's gonna go well, it's a tree, but you know we need to break it up a bit, like the branches. Maybe just some negative space. Actually, that doesn't work. Let's take black, smaller. Erase the excess. How does that read? I don't know, I think it's okay. The size of the door is right, and that's because you know we measured it with the perspective line, so it's bound to be right. And say we just give some stuff going on here on the side, some frozen land. So let's just say it's not a straight path. Okay. So this side here, this is going to be something we have to use to our advantage. So let's not show the tree in its entirety. Let's block it a bit with this massive slope, right? And then there might be something similar going on here in the distance. So let's just slowly land on a mountain, maybe at distance. And bring back the stick. Lost him. So I'm going back. Yeah, that's good. Alright. So let's fill up this bit here. The sky again. Get my Tama brush, mid-grade, and say some stormy clouds up there, because it is a low angle, so we will have to show some clouds from this angle, and some really like high peaks. The micro. So let's just say there's like a tall sort of rocky mountain there, and break it apart with some lighter colors. Okay, I hope that is reading better. Do let me know in the comments if you're here. So with just those area around the tree, I'm just going to smudge them. The clouds, I need to find a better solution, but I'll come to it in a minute. So yeah, done that. Okay, we really need the clouds to be lighter. So yeah, that's more like it. And it could cover a little bit of those tall peaks to give a bit of a haze. Also somewhere here. Yeah. And now going back to the floor. Let's see what we can do with this. Maybe like that. Maybe another one there. Another one there. And bring that down. Say. Okay. So. Right. So very light. So that's like the path has been broken by a bit in symmetry by this terrainy rocky land, and fill those blanks and have something to work with in the next phase. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute to look at these and analyze, and I think I should really I mean, these are all the 2, 3 and 4 really are workable, but I'm going to develop, I think, number 3, just because there's more opportunity, I think, A2 into showing more of the background with the tree in the foreground and somebody coming towards you as opposed to away. No, actually, I'm already changing my mind. Let me take a minute. This is kind of the important bit because both 3 and 4 are looking really good in terms of where we can take this. But again, reading the book here on my other screen, and just the way the story is headed, yeah, it would be beneficial to have yeah, the guy, protagonist, Saint Nicholas, show his back. So let's just do a good job at getting his silhouette right, and then we might think of just developing this one. So something between 2 and 4 is really ideal. So I like parts of 2. In fact, 4 is what we should go for, I think. The only problem with the 2 is there's so much of the sky. There's not a lot we're showing in terms of the landscape. It's kind of very flat, and so you have to fill it up with a lot of distant stuff. Whereas 3 is okay. I'm going to do one thing while you're here. Let's look at this. Say copy that part. Say move it in here, somewhat like that. Let's see how that is looking. Maybe it's the tree that was breaking it. If I did that to number 2 and say merge it down, how is that looking? So all I need to do is show more of the trunk, and that it's got a bit of a hollow. It might actually be good. So I've got this thing that is much better at what's going on here on the right compared to, well, in fact, let me just bring that layer back so we can do an on and off. It's a lot of undos. Okay, now on, off, on, off. So yeah, so that tree needed to be really big. That's the main issue with that. So I'm going to come back here, erase parts of it, and I'm going to rebuild this tree. Okay. So I'm going to say, let's just extend that here, and this is going to be the tree needs personality, so let's give it that. For these big branches that are like massive arms, and it has a hollow, and the hollow will probably begin there, and we see half of it from this angle, and it will be cut away, so about that much, and go something mid-gray to sort of suggest that there is something going on here, because we can get away with thinking that there's light coming here, so there'll be some personality that it really needs. And now if I want to, I could just say go back here, enable drawing guide, bring back my two perspective points. I really don't need this third one, it's a 2-point perspective, this one, so let's keep it that way. Okay, that's my horizon line, so the tree is kind of slightly above the horizon line. And if I did a drawing assist on this, took my pencil, HB pencil, go all the way black, and say there's a big hollow, so that's probably the height of St. Nicholas. He's a tall man. The tree has to be very tall as well, so he's probably on that line there. So yeah, we got him slightly above, which means I mean this is based of course on this, so this line there, so it's going there. So if he were here, so there's I need more lines. Okay. Edit. Opacity thickness. Say bring in there, the vanishing point. Okay, so that's kind of the box. That's his box, and then he goes there, and the box goes there. So it's about the height of that hole, but you know we could be standing on something, and I would say that sorry about that. Yeah, I would say yeah, we can just accept that and say this is good. Should have done that on a separate layer, my bad. Okay, let's erase it neatly. So yeah, I think the checks are done. It's all looking the way I want it to, and yeah, we're gonna call this one done in a minute. And that is big news. That is big news. Okay. Okay, let's just finish this out now. Get these hollows like slightly smaller than we had it before. So because that's what's kind of matching the size of St. Nicholas. So these are like really low branches, but these branches are like really, there's got to be like some minor branches that go even higher. So we really shouldn't be seeing any sky in this area because it's covered by the tree. So let's just do that, and then erase anything excess. Okay. Yeah, I could have been a bit clever and sort of filled these boxes with a mid-gray, and then alpha locked it so I didn't have to do the erasing after painting. But it's okay. I mean, with thumbnail sketching, I really don't come very prepared. It's like very freehand, and I'm like thinking out loud with every stroke, or drawing out loud with every stroke, maybe. So I should say. Could even go a little bit lighter on the tree. That side, this side. Okay. Alright, and also I'm going to make this side of his robe a little, give it a bit more definition, maybe. Yeah. Give the robiness to it. And so let that shoulder sort of come out that way. Okay, so there's a lantern on this one, which is, I think, what's made this a winner. That little bit of light is what I want to show more than his the stick, which can be for another illustration. So what it tells me is a guy in a snowstorm, you know, with his lantern, and he's found a tree where he can take refuge. That's all I wanted to tell with this, and I think number 2 now, with the chain we made, is the winner for me. I mean, I love the tree on number 3, and it's just it's a hard choice. Again, I would maybe do both in the end and see which one's better. But do let me know what you guys think. Which one I should develop for the next session. Because for today, I just wanted to do a thumbnail sketching, which I've done. I'm gonna end the stream here. But in the comments, if you could let me know if you would develop number 3 over number 2, or is number 2 telling that story that I really want to tell? Does it have the suspense factor? And yeah, so if so, I'm gonna just go quiet now and finish up this one, and then leave the stream for you guys to comment and whatnot. So yeah, so some landscape here, landscape. that's about it, guys. I mean, on the left, I've added quite a bit of landscape things. It is not clear whether they're just rocky slides or they've got some trees, because the idea is there will be some trees but covered in thick snow. So, with that in mind, I didn't go any further showing any more trees, because we want to kind of isolate this one big tree, and because of the way it's placed, it didn't get a lot of snow like the others. Anyway, that's what I was going for. So I hope you like it, and do comment. As I said before, I will join you guys next week in another stream, where I will take number two and develop this into a proper book illustration.